Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I am excited to be back. I apologize for the lack of content last week, but unfortunately, the bastards in scheduling got a hold of me, and as a reserve pilot, they actually made me go to work. So, but I am happy to be back. Also, before we get started, as always, this is the shameless plug part. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Really does help out a small channel like myself. Also, you'll see down in the description, I have a link for my Discord. So I'd love to have you jump on board, say hello, just stay connected. Already starting to develop a nice community-friendly group of people. And also down there, you're going to see something that I've been doing on my other series, on air particularly, is where I highlight other content creators, which I know probably sounds unique. Why would I be promoting somebody else when I'm a small content creator myself? But I have been very lucky in terms of all the great people I have met in this space and elsewhere who have really just a bunch of nice people who have actually pushed my content, even if it wasn't in the genre. And as I say on my on-air series, I'm not sure how much crossover I'm getting, that I really just want to provide you guys a bunch of great content. And so and I'm not really in competition with any other content creator. Really, the only person I worry about, really, quite frankly, is myself. And not to sound self-centered, it's just I want to make sure I'm doing a good job, and so I'm in competition with myself to continuously try to put out better and better content. So I have no problem providing or promoting other content creators. And this week is a content creator that goes by the name Dream of Wings. Has a really nice Discord. I'm over there a lot when I'm not on mine. Great group of people. He provides great content in terms of some helicopter stuff, warbird stuff, and a little bit of general aviation, based in the UK. So I have absolutely no problem shouting him out. I really enjoy those guys. Anyways, let's kind of get going. So in the last episode, we passed our turbine endorsement. And I had assumed, wrongly as it turns out, that once I had access to the Airbus, the H125 or the A-Star, if you're old like me, that I would be able to do a bunch of missions. And it turns out there actually is none for the A-Star until you move up the ranks. So if we look at specializations, move over to rotorcraft, you see passenger transport and obviously flight scene or sightseeing is unlocked. And of course, you see passenger transport, you see the A-Star, think, oh great, there's going to be a bunch of stuff for me to do. Turns out there's literally nothing that I can do. The only thing that I found was one mission for search and rescue, one mission for a search and rescue hoist, and one cargo transport hook for the A-Star. That's it. So what that means is I need to go back to the small two-seat helicopter. Was that the Guimbal or Cabri helicopter, which I really wasn't thinking I was ever going to fly again. But for me to do search and rescue, I'm going to need to do at least 7 missions with a score of C or better, right? So that I don't think that should be overly difficult. And then we'll move on. At that point, we'll do the hoist. So I'm not going to do, obviously, all 7 missions on camera, but I thought this very first one I thought was kind of interesting, which is, as it loads in, going from FRG, which is Republic, and that's actually, believe it or not, where I finished up my flying career in terms of as a student. I had started off in California, where I'm from, and then moved out to the East Coast and finished up my commercial NYC FI in Republic. And then also, while I was away at the Flight Sim Expo, maybe we'll talk about that as well, they pushed the new World update, which included Manhattan and the 5 boroughs. So I thought this would be just a great idea or a perfect time to pick that one up. So I think we'll just do this one passenger transport. I'll do the rest off camera, and then we'll probably, maybe next episode, we will do the hoist endorsement and then kind of proceed down that track. All right, so this is actually probably not entirely different from what I used to do when I was in Republic as a brand new CFI flying in a Robinson R22. All right, so what do we need to do here? Airline procedures complied with, and then we shall fly. Is there anything extra for the full briefing? I don't see anything. Here we go. So I swore I was never going to fly this helicopter again, and yet here I am. It's actually okay. They're all about the same, right? Pull-up houses get smaller, those townhouses get bigger. All right. And I think I will do the unfortunately, there we go. I have all the voices turned off. I hope if we're bringing both people, that's going to get real uncomfortable in there. Anyways, I have all the voices turned off, as I obviously, if you follow me on the on-air, the NeoFly, I use a lot of the either Say Intentions or Beyond ATC. Once again, after this, I don't plan on learning this aircraft in its entirety, so I apologize for not doing a full startup for you guys. But I don't think I'm ever going to do this aircraft ever again. While we're getting started, as I mentioned, I just got back from the Flight Sim Expo. What a great time. Met a lot of vendors out there. In particular, the pro flight trainer people. They provide cockpits. They've asked me, he found out I was a former test pilot at Robinson and had about 10,000 hours in helicopters, so I might be demoing some of his stuff, which will be nice for the channel. Talk to the Hype Performance group, talk to the president out there, and I might help out on some testing for their new helicopter that comes out. Maybe at the end of this year, they'll probably start doing some of the testing on it. And so it was great. Just went out there and kind of flogged the channel. All right, so I'll do that. Hello, how you doing? All right, so let's see. We'll bring this back up. Flight planner. We'll put the route in there. Really, the route that they've got out here, as you see, is just going direct to the East 30th helipads. So, which I don't think I'm going to do, because good luck, by the way, right here, zipping right in front of the arrival path of JFK. So the actual procedure is actually you go out to the shoreline, out to the barrier islands here, and then we will just proceed westbound along the shoreline, past Coney Island, and then up through the five boroughs. Sorry, I'm trying to remember which one is that. Queens, Bronx. I don't know. I'm even though I live in Jersey, I really don't go to New York that much. I knew them all, obviously, when I was flying the news there. So, anyways, all right. So I think we are up and ready to go. We'll just get rid of that stuff to make sure we are following all of our procedures, and then the plan will just take off from here and head south. And I'm interested to see how, in fact, if Manhattan looks any better. All right, stop at the helipad. So really, this is actually what I would do sometimes. Obviously, there wouldn't be a whole lot of need for executive transport in an R-22, but I, on many occasions, brought people right into the city. All right, let's not do that. gonna keep going backwards. Let's not do that. Not really the world's best takeoff, was it? A little bit high. Someone said that there was actually a comment I got from one of the viewers who said that there's actually something you can use to show inputs, which I will look for you guys. I have it for DCS, as I've been flying a little bit of DCS lately, just getting used to flying the OH-58. And so I will see if I can find that so you can see all the control inputs I'm making, or as you saw in that takeoff, lack of making, right? The big things I always tell you is to try to neutralize all aircraft movement as you pick up. And, you know, for yaw, I think I did okay. But I just started going backwards, and I just thought I would just need a little bit of trim. Turns out I needed a lot more. Nice little brown out there. All right. So someone just asked me this question. I think it was on another Discord. And they were asking me how often in the real world, you know, do you taxi out to the runways? And the answer is literally almost never, right? It's really just usually a beam the taxiway, and out you go, direct to the ramp. Which, of course, was a little bit of a problem for me, as when I went to the airlines, I literally had no idea. I'm not taxiing, that's why I don't know what they're doing. How to read taxi signs. Can you imagine that? Airline captain, I had no idea how to read any of the taxi signs because, as you see the helipad down there, I never really used taxiways. It literally was direct to where you were landing, and occasionally you might hover taxi, and for the most part it was kind of just direct. Blade Lounge East. Okay, we'll do that. Let's just get rid of that. I don't think we need to see that up there anymore. And we'll go about 500 feet or so. That's good. Just accelerate a little bit more. So this is where I finished up my commercial and my CFI out here, as I was mentioning. And so just to the east in Long Island there is a Class C airport, ISLIP, KISP. And I remember as a new pilot, commercial pilot, I would fly over there on occasion, and I just thought, boy, I am in the big times. Big airport. I wouldn't say I was overwhelmed, but man, I was like, well, it's bigger than a normal Class D airport. And so, and funny enough now, for my airline, I occasionally go out there. In fact, that's actually what I did this week is I flew out, or I'm sorry, I didn't fly out. They limoed me out, which is that's the term they use just for a taxi, but they had a car service take me out from Philadelphia, drove out to ISLIP. It was, oh God, it was like a 5-hour drive by the time, I got all the way out there. Plus, it took me like an hour and a half to get into Philadelphia. So I was like in the car for like a little over 6 hours. And spent the night Then I flew down to Myrtle Beach down in Florida, and then they had another pilot down there waiting for his trip for the plane. And then I just deadheaded back, which deadhead just means I'd ride as a passenger. I'm not up front flying. So it was a 2-day trip, of which it was a 1 2 hour and 5-minute flight, and then came back, and then scheduling assigned me something ridiculous on Thursday. Without getting into it, it is beginning to get a little confrontational, I suppose, between the company and the pilots, as we are in contract negotiations. So they assigned me a flight that they could technically do, but really it should have gone to another pilot. I don't want to get involved that much with it, because mostly none of you people will probably care. But they just had me report in really late at night. By the time, and then the plane was delayed, and then by the time they could get going, I was getting ready to time out. So I literally just drove into work, and almost by the time I got there, they turned around and sent me home. So they really should have given it to another reserve captain, of which they had 3, which would have been more appropriate for them. So whatever, not my problem. That's what they paid me to do. Now, right along, and I didn't pull it up, and I probably should have, in terms of pre-flight planning. I do this a lot on my NeoFly and on air, particularly my NeoFly. It's a little bit geared towards newer pilots, where you can find some free and easy references. You can go to the FAA website, and if you're doing fixed-wing stuff, if you're flying here in the United States, you can find sectionals and terminals all for free, and you can also find. Start coming down a little. So you see these little islands out here. This is where I would just do all my traffic work. My instructor would come out here and just do pattern work, so you could just go pattern after pattern after pattern after pattern, and not have to worry about talking to air traffic control and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, you can find, one of the other things you can find in almost all the major metropolitan markets is a helicopter route chart. And the route chart for here, because we have, as we kind of zoom into here, that is JFK right there, and there is a procedure to get you along the shoreline. Really, it's just you drop down to a fairly low level. Same thing like in LAX. There's a bunch of different routes that you can fly as a helicopter, so you don't have to talk necessarily to the Class B, LAX here, JFK. They don't necessarily want to talk to you. They don't have the time. Good luck trying to even get in on frequency. And they just assign some altitude routes that you can fly. And if you stay in those, then you can cut through their airspace. And one of them here, of course, would be right along the shoreline. So you're hearing that little blade slap going on right now. That's just to get me down below 500 feet. I think on this one, it's been a while since I've flown it. It's out of below 300 feet. The one in LAX is out of below 150 feet right along the shoreline there. Alright, so I'll just start making my way down here a little bit. I'm not sure if the east side helipad is even still open. It must be. They closed some of them down for noise and traffic stuff. I used to go on the east side, mostly on the west side, but occasionally on the east side. That was a more active heliport, so to speak. All right, so we still have a little bit. You can see the JFK out there, a little ways to go. So I think we still have a little ways to go. So I think what I'll probably end up doing is I'll cut you out right here, there's going to be a whole lot of exciting stuff between now and then. And I will bring you up just as we're getting in Manhattan, and then we can just see what the New World update looks like low level. See how well it looks. One thing, if you've done any, I think this engine works really, really well over kind of this stuff right here, right? That's not inhabited. The trees look nice. The water looks nice. You can even get some of the like normal kind of suburban looking houses, but I've seen, especially when in LA, when I've been flying around there, the photogeometry or whatever, the buildings are all, I mean, it looks like, you know, a World War II. They're all crumpled up and beat up, and roads are just look like a disaster when you get down to 500 feet. So I kind of avoid, my computer can definitely handle it. We got a 4090 in here, but I think in terms of the graphics in the cities, I mean, even as you're driving right here, like they've got, you can see there's like 2D cars down there. They're just printed into the roadways, which is kind of weird. I don't know. Anyways, maybe about 500 feet. So anyways, like I said, I'll cut you out here, and then we can rejoin up once I get to Manhattan. All right. See you in just a second. All right, everybody, I'm back with you. We're just getting up into New York City, and I thought since we are here and they've just done the update, we can take a real quick little tour, see how things are. Just heading over to the Statue of Liberty. And I thought maybe we'd just go right up the west side, cut across Central Park, and then back down the river into the helipad. Obviously, flying around New York, which I have a lot of time doing. I think I mentioned at the start of this episode, I flew for the news out here. When I first started, I was flying for CBS in Philadelphia, and then came out here and flew out here for about a year and a half before I started flying medevac. All right, there is the very famous Statue of Liberty. And then coming up the river, you just kind of self-announce everything. This would be the Ellis Island complex right there to our left. Not exactly modeled the way it's supposed to, but that's where all the new immigrants during the 1900s would arrive there. That island right there, right in the middle of the river, is a former Naval / Coast Guard base. There's a couple of vendors on there. You can go, we'll have concerts and plays out there. You can go visit. This area down here is known as Battery Park City. Over on the left, right past her face there, that is New Jersey. So once you get up on here, there's you're on some fairly not strict routes, because you can kind of go where you want, but everyone's kind of following the rules, so to speak. This complex down here, just off the ground there, or 1 o'clock, that'd be like the Chelsea Pier area. So I don't see the Freedom Towers really modeled down here, which I find interesting. They are fairly massive. It's interesting, they're not really included. You can just, over there, you can see the Empire State Building right there. All right, is there anything we need to do for the mission since I've got that actually turned off? We'll do that. Obviously, I didn't get my takeoff clearance, so I assume I'll get not dinged for that. All right, flight pattern entry. Well, we're on the complete wrong side of the island. This area right here would be around like the Lincoln Tunnel area, getting in and out of Manhattan. That first bridge up there should be way up in the distance there, a couple miles. George Washington. Teterboro Airport, just off our 11 o'clock right there. And this is right about the area where Sullenberger put the aircraft right into the water, right about here. Prohibited airspace. I don't know what was prohibited around here. So there is literally nothing that would be prohibited here. All right, so I might have to do more than a couple of these to get at least my score of a C or better. But I figure while we're here, let's go check it out. We'll start our turn in right here. Now, normally to cross Central Park here, they want you at least 1,500 feet. And on your route, we'll just zip over here, what about 700 feet or so. That's fine. So this is what it was like when I was flying for the news, except I'd be probably about another 100, 200 feet lower, and I would just sit in a hover as they're trying to get the shot with my cameraman. So my cameraman would sit on my left. He'd have a big screen where he was looking. I'd be looking there, and then all of us would be jockeying for position, trying to get the exact same shot because there's only one good shot apparently. So this would be Central Park. Very nice to walk around. All these buildings that ring it. Now you're talking, especially the ones over here that aren't really particularly modeled perfectly. Big, big money, obviously, to live there. Probably some of the most expensive real estate in the world. So I think the good news is that it looks like at least we have good solid buildings down here, I would say, but they're not really accurately modeled, if that makes any sense. As we kind of come around Roosevelt Island, there used to be another helipad right here, and if you came from the north, off from our left, you'd swing around, you see that power plant right there on the other side of the river there. It was known as Big Bertha, and you would just land right there, right into the helipad. I think that one's definitely been closed. This would be nice and easy to see. The helipad. outside of these buildings here. So look for the helipad. This actually part would be kind of real as I'm kind of looking for the helipad here. It's really just very, very small. There's no lights, there's no tower, it's just some concrete blacktop. So I'm going to assume I'm going to find it here any second. Little bit slow. Cut right through these buildings here. See if that's it right there. Boy, hard to pick out. So the one thing when you're making these kind of approaches, you really have a hard time. It's not letting me announce final. It's interesting. That looks like a little circle right there. Or is it this right here? Really got like one chance to get in here, right? It's gonna be very hard to do a go around. Can't go long. Really have to worry about settling with power. So you don't like kind of get this really nailed in real early. All right, so I guess that's the pad right there. So I'm not sure where this helipad is then. I mean, like this looks like the helipad. Right? Do anyone see anything different? I don't. This looks like this would be the helipad. Got some lines. Well, I'm going to put it there. So I'm not sure some of these issues, the prohibited airspace. Not entirely sure what that was all about. But let's just put it here and see if I actually complete the mission. This is obviously the helipad.
Excellent landing, sir.
All right, well, let's see how we did. I don't know. And let's just get our rotor brake on here. All right, so we just want to see or better. All right, let's end the flight and see how we did. Well, mission success at least. Found the right spot. Oh, okay. I thought I was getting a D. All right, so I had 2 prohibited airspaces, 1 undesignated landing area, and 1 taxi speeding because I didn't. So I took off directly from the taxiway, which is a little bit more realistic. But I ended up with an A, so we will take that. I don't know what the undesignated landing area is. Anyways, let's just go next. Ooh, rich. Okay, next. Next. All right, we leveled up. Outstanding. Means literally nothing. All right, folks. That was how to do one of the, in case you guys are trying to do it. I'm sorry I couldn't do a better job in terms of finding the helipad, which is clearly what I was on. And a couple little glitches there. You saw I wasn't able to actually make the call in order required to. I'm guessing they just didn't want me up on that side of the river, but that's not prohibited airspace, so I don't know why that was there. But in any event, once again, thank you all for all the support. Like, subscribe, comment down below if there's anything you want me to comment on. As I said, I think the next thing for us is to, I'll just see if I can get through these. There's only this mission and one other for this helicopter. So I don't know if I have to continue to repeat this mission after mission, or if I find something new, I'll let you know in the next episode. And then hopefully we will maybe do the hoist endorsement, or if I can find something that's unique and fun for us to do, we will do that. Anyways, thanks for all the support. Take care for now.